This is Manhattan Island with 1,694,000 population. And next to it is Staten Island and Long Island with about 8 million population. Geographically, they are islands, but in fact, they are parts of one big city, New York. I decided not to include such islands in the ranking, as they are closely connected to the mainland by bridges. Now, I'll show you 20 most populated islands in the world. So let's start with Negros Island in the Philippines. Its population is above 4.6 million people, and its area is 13,000 square kilometers. The island has a high population density, and communication between other islands is possible only through ferries and flights. The island of Sicily is in 19th place. It is the largest island in the Mediterranean by population and territory. The island belongs to Italy. The largest cities on the island are Palermo and Catania. Each of them has an international airport, and you can easily fly to Europe, Asia, Africa, and even America. There are also ferries from Palermo to Naples, Marsala to Tunisia, and Messina to Calabria. The distance of the last one is only 3 kilometers, and many bridge projects have been developed, but never implemented. Eighteenth place, Hokkaido, the northernmost of the major Japanese islands. More than 5 million people live here, and the GDP per capita is twice as high as that of the previous Sicily. The island is separated by 20 kilometers of water. It would seem that there can be no other connection than a ferry, such as Hokkaido. But a little further west, the Japanese have realized a whole tunnel under the water with the Shinkansen railroad connection. So why is Tokyo Sapporo the world's second busiest flight in terms of passenger traffic? The answer is simple. The Shinkansen line is currently implemented only to the city of Hokkaido, and the connection to Sapporo is planned for 2030. Next we have Ireland. The northern part of the island is part of the United Kingdom, and the remaining 83% of the island is the eponymous state of Ireland. It is immediately noticeable that the population of this island has a high standard of living, more than $80,000 of GDP per capita, which is on par with the richest states in America and European countries. Dublin, Belfast, and Cork are the main cities on the island. They have international airports. The most popular sea route is the Dublin Holyhead-Liverpool and Belfast Cairnyard ferry service. The 16th place is taken by China's Hainan. The island's population exceeds 10 million people. In terms of GDP per capita, the island is somewhere between Brazil and Serbia. About 20 kilometers of water separate the island from mainland China, or an hour and a half by ferry. Next, we move towards the Caribbean. Cuba as a country is not actually a single island, but consists of many islands. However, almost 100% of the total population lives in cities located on the main island. The main city of Cuba is Havana, where almost a quarter of the country's population lives. I was unable to find a single operating sea route for passenger transportation, although Cuba is not that far from its neighbors. The 14th place is taken by the island of Kyushu. It is the southernmost of the 4 large Japanese islands. It has a population of more than 12 million people. The size of Kyushu's economy is comparable to Austria's or to such states as Indiana and Minnesota. It is the first island in our ranking to have a land road connection to the larger island via a large suspension bridge. Its length is about 700 meters. There is also a railway connection via 2 underwater lines. The nearest city on the mainland is Busan, just 200 kilometers by sea, and you are in South Korea. A real giant is in 13th place. New Guinea. The western part of the island belongs to Indonesia, and the eastern part to Papua New Guinea. The island is home to about 15 million people, but the population density is less than 19 people per square kilometer, which is the lowest in our ranking. Just think, there are more than 2,400 kilometers between the extreme points of this island. And here's how this distance looks against the backdrop of Europe or USA. You may see even more interesting distance comparisons in a specific video on my channel. Our next island is located very close to New Guinea, Sulawesi or Celebes. The population of the island exceeds 20 million people, which is about 7% of the total population of Indonesia. The island has a bizarre shape, with far-reaching peninsulas. The island's land transportation system is poorly developed, and the main connection by sea is between the cities of Surabaya, Makassar, and Mamuju Balikpapan. However, if it is a long way by sea, you can fly from Makassar to any other major island in Indonesia, except Sumatra. The 11th place goes to Sri Lanka. The island's territory is comparable to Lithuania and Georgia in terms of area, although its population is 3 times larger than in Lithuania and Georgia combined. About 30 kilometers of water separate the island from the Indian coast. I was surprised by the routes of cargo ships between Colombo and Chennai. They go around the island instead of a short distance directly. It turns out that the Pak Strait is only a few meters deep and has a lot of coral. Nevertheless, I have not been able to find any operating ferry services from Sri Lanka to India. If you are from these countries, please write in the comments whether there is a sea connection. Then we have the most populous island in the Western Hemisphere, Hispaniola. I will talk about it and other islands in the second part of the video. Subscribe and turn on the bells so you don't miss it. See you soon.